The first section of your settings page is for site settings. Sites are anything that you're measuring with a set of URLs that belongs to a specific site. This might be your production site, this might be a dev or staging site, or this might be a competitor site, to name a few. To manage those sites, you go into your site settings. From here, you can give this a name. You can override some of our defaults here around color palettes. You select the site type that it is, and give it an industry, basically, that the site is associated with. The most important part of your site settings are the URLs that you want to measure. What is it we want to test? You can see here, it's really simple to add a URL. Say add URL, go ahead and paste in the URL that you want to measure, and you give it a page group name. This is really important because you want those page group names to be able to align with your RUM data, which we'll talk about in another video, where your RUM settings match up with your synthetic data, so you can do things like leverage the improved dashboard and vitals dashboard to be able to correlate some of that data. Other options for managing URLs, you've got the ability to add customized scripts. More information can be found at our support center, linked here. There's also great recipes, which are templates that you can use for site scripting, and other information about how you want to accomplish potential things like user flows and scripting the use of cookies and authentication. Speaking of authentication, you do have the ability to use basic authentication for any of the URLs that you're measuring, just by simply clicking here and adding in the username and password. And you've got the ability to move this URL if you wanted to move it to a different site. Say I wanted to move it to my Tesla staging site or another URL where I wanted to kind of copy that over without having to recreate the script or cut and paste that myself. Other areas of the site settings that you'll care about after you go through creating and setting up your URLs are your different test settings related to the browsers you want to use. These browsers are controlled in your global settings, so you can select those specific ones that you want to measure from, or simply select all of the browsers that you want to measure from. Regions works the same way. Regions are added at the global level, and you select regions that you want to use. If you don't see the regions you want here, those can be added to your global settings, and then they'll show up and they can be selected. Finally, the times that you want this to run on a daily basis. We can see that we've got several times here, but I'm only going to run this once a day. Finally, another option that you need to select if you want to correlate the RUM and synthetic data is here, where you want to say show RUM for the specific site. This basically tells us for the RUM data that you're collecting, we want to be able to correlate that with the synthetic data, the site data, specifically to this production environment, again, for use in the vitals dashboard, improved dashboards, to be able to connect those two together. That's it for your site settings.